Why do I think, act, feel, and behave a certain way? What's my most authentic choice? What's blocking my way? Am I using this gift of life well? Who am I? Why am I here? Carrie Paris, Tina Hardt, from the Beloved Dead Oracle. Welcome, inquiring souls, to this unboxing and first impressions video of the Beloved Dead Oracle by Carrie Paris and Tina Hardt. Also included in this video is a side-by-side comparison of the original indie version of this deck, the Spirit Oracle, which was included with the indie version of the Relative Tarot, also by Carrie Paris and Tina Hardt. So why don't we start off with a musical flip through of the new Beloved Oracle deck, and I will meet you on the other side. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. It has been a long time since I've been with y'all, and there is a bit specific reason for that, which I will address in another separate video, on-camera video. But today, this is about the new deck, a new Oracle deck by Carrie and Tina Hardt, the Beloved Dead Oracle. And actually, I say new, but it is the new mass market edition to a deck that's already been released as an indie version. And actually the set was one of the very first Kickstarters I ever backed when I had just found tarot. Now, I've done an extensive 2 videos about the relative tarot, about the when the mass market deck came out. I compared it with the indie version. So I will be linking those videos in the cards above and also in the description box below if you want to see the in depth, especially for the tarot deck. It's mostly comparing the 2 tarot decks, but today we are comparing the 2 oracle decks. Now, just a quick reminder, if you have the indie deck, you're probably wondering, if you have, you know, the oracle deck, the indie version, you're wondering, well, do I really need the new one? And the short answer is yes, they are completely different. And I'm going to show you today how they are different. So if you remember, or those of you who may not know that there was an indie version of this deck, it came in a 2-piece beautiful box. And here is the tarot deck, which is now gone to mass market that anybody can get. And nestled next to it was the oracle deck. So there's been quite a few differences and changes to the set. Now, the biggest one being there's been cards that have been changed, and I'm going to show you an in-depth view of how the cards have changed, the titles have changed. But now the biggest difference is that they've made a guidebook with the new mass market deck, a very in-depth guidebook, and they've made more of a system out of it. Whereas this little guidebook was more pertaining to the tarot deck, all about your birth cards. And there was nothing about the oracle deck, nothing. It's just completely meant to be used intuitively, which was great. But yeah, you could use it any way you wanted to, but you just kind of, I know I wanted just something a little bit more, a little kind of a blueprint or map on how to use the oracle cards. And some people say, I don't need a stinking book, and that's fine. And that's great that you can use the cards totally intuitively. But some of us like a little starting point, you know, a little guidance, and then you can go off in whatever direction you want to go off in. And this also came with a beautiful reading scarf, and this was a great deck. So again, if you want to see how the tarot decks differed, and here is the mass market of the tarot deck, which also came with a little bit more expanded book. It was easier to read than this little one in the indie version, so that was an improvement with this. But the big difference, I would say, I'm so happy I got it. I didn't even know it was coming out because I've kind of stayed away from the tarot too, because I wanted to get away from mindless buying. And just because I liked some artwork on certain cards, or I liked a certain creator, doesn't always mean I'm going to vibe with their decks. But I'm pretty much batting 100 with Carrie Paris's products. I love all of her decks that I have, that I've been able to get. And so I think I'm going to love this one too. All right. So you just saw the musical flip through of the deck as it is. So right now we are going to do a side by side of the two decks, the indie and the mass market version. Now I have filmed this musical comparison, and you'll notice that sometimes the cards are going to be unalphabetized. That's because I was trying to match, similar cards. So we're going to go through that walkthrough, and I'll be right back. So I hope you found that useful, and let me know in the comments below if you found that helpful for you. Now again, this alone makes it worth buying the whole new deck, because this makes it a completely different deck from the indie version. Now, as you can see, I separated the cards because you've got the standard deck right here, and then you have some acts of love cards that are supposed to be used in a specific way, and then you have 2 other cards. Now, from skimming through the book, the Ouija card is supposed to be kind of a wild card, and then the Spirit Throne is kind of like an invitation to a seat for your ancestor at the table. Just from very quickly skimming through the book. Now let's go over this book really quickly. Now I assume there's some in-depth, because I'm a little bit late to the party. Like I told you, I have not been keeping in up to speed with all the new releases, and that's been a very good thing for me. But I'm kind of late to the party for a creator and creators, because Tina Hardt is a major player in creating this. So I'm late to the party. So I know that there's other in-depth reviews of this deck. So we're just going to go through this very, very quickly. Now there's a table of contents. What's in the box, how to begin, attuning with the beloved deck, and then you get the cards. You get some spreads. And you get some information about the active love cards themselves and the active love spread, and then the beloved dead cards, which is, the bulk of the deck right here. Then you have some beloved dead oracle spreads, the general 3-card spread, the evidential spread, the beloved dead spread, and the pillar of personal power spread. So there's a lot of information here. Now, I love how in the welcome to the beloved dead, it goes into the story how Carrie Paris got the inspiration for this deck. And it said, years ago, on a blustery New Year's Day, as the story goes, Carrie Paris discovered an old image of 3 unknown ancestors in a box. And if you must know, it's this photograph right here. She has confirmed it. These are Carrie Paris's ancestors right here. So going on, they were visibly impoverished, an elderly woman and man, gentle and kindly, the man's hand tenderly perched on the shoulder of a very young shoeless boy who was holding a hurting branch. The woman's hand covers her bloated stomach from hunger. With a bit of digging and fact-finding, Carrie unveiled some of the mystery, enough to confirm that yes, they were hungry, and that the undernourished boy, aged 8 or 9, was orphaned and had been brought into the care of the elderly couple despite their dire situation. Yet scry the dynamic within this photo, the warmth in their eyes, their bright auric fields, and you'll soon sense an energy that transcends not only the process of picture taking, but also time and space, kindness, grace, selflessness, and an enduring philosophy of love is all you need. Oh my gosh, that's very, very powerful. In the welcome, it also goes on to say, and I think this is interesting, it's been said that when a querent sits in front of a diviner, there are at least 15 people in the chair. There's an energetic imprint of the parents, 2 sets of grandparents, and 4 sets of great-grandparents. That's a whole lot of backstory, and when we listen, we will hear them informing our existing narratives. But how is that happening, and to what extent? Who better to fill in the missing pieces of our ever-evolving personal puzzles? Who better to share the triumph of the human condition? Enter our beloved dead. It also says that this book is designed to be a standalone deck, to be used for divination, but also encouraged to combine it, for another layer with the relative tarot. Now in the box, you get one Spirit Throne card, which is right here. And this, think of this, it says in the book, as a special staging card, the Majestic Spirit Throne. It isn't one of the family oracle cards. It's unique and has its own purpose. It's meant to be used as a seat of honor, a sacred space within which to hold counsel. You can use the Spirit Throne card to call upon your ancestors, to invite them for conversation, to connect with a particular spirit, and as a beginning or ending card to open and close ritual work. The active love cards, which are these 10 cards right here. These 10 cards are your special forces team. There's a little typo here. It should be they right here, and it says the. They are the oracles of acts of love. These cards represent energetic transactions and choices that once made become your alchemy, turning baser instincts into gold. They can represent an individual, an energetic imprint, or an ancestor. Going on, they say once you flip over a card and it's an act of love, it also acts as an additional layer of meaning. In other words, when you pull another beloved dead oracle card, lay it on top of the acts of love. Pay attention to the position in which it's landed. Make special note of which other beloved dead have summoned this card for you. All right, and it says we'll talk more about, about this process. And then the beloved dead cards, which is the bulk of the deck, are our esteemed family of radiant souls. They will have a lot to say about your day-to-day interactions, personal dynamics, and experience of life. Each card will feature a character in a scene. The card is representative of the message from that scene. Ask a question, connect with the card's energy, and receive its celestial perspective. Okay, so and then it goes into how to begin. And you get a full description of each card. I think this feels, even though there's a lot of overlapping cards and photographs, images. Sorry about that. I just knocked my camera. It does feel like a totally different deck. And right here, I just opened to a quote by Carl Jung. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. And that is so powerful because there's so many of us. I don't think there's a person who doesn't have some bit of ancestral trauma in their background, depending on, and also family dysfunction. And it just varies on how much there is, how close it is to you. But we all carry a little bit, some more than others. Some people choose to turn a blind eye to it, to kind of tramp it down inside. And then, for whatever reason, when circumstances happen, the trauma comes out. It has to be let out. But, we do have the power to not kind of wallow in what has happened to us, or if, we've had some undesirable events because of our family happen. They don't have to define us. They don't have to dictate where the rest of your life goes. And I really connect to that quote a lot. Now, one good thing that this book does have is samples of the spreads. And so you can kind of see how the creators have interpreted how to use these spreads and how, what the intention is. Let's see. Yes, for all the spreads that they do have an example of how you can, for interpretation, and it does provide a roadmap. to get started. And I think that is very, very helpful. Now, I will say, once you get going with this deck, I mean, there's plenty of cards here, but in case you already have the indie deck, I think you could separate it out, separate all the overlapping cards, and bring in some of the other ones that are a little bit like there's no artistry, there's no balancing act, there's no panache, there's no pillar, popularity, you know, reflection, regime, rescue. Like these cards are not, sorry, I hit my camera again. They're not in this deck. So I think what you could do, I mean, really the sky's the limit. You can take out all those cards that are not reflected in this new deck and take them and kind of add them in, or have a little, figure out a way that you can incorporate these with these as well, because there's lots of like the seance card. And this picture has always creeped me out because I can I can almost, I don't know, this seems to me like photographs of the dead, you know, the Victorian tradition of photographing their loved ones once they are deceased. And they prop them up, and they've had these contraptions even to hold them up to make them look like they're standing. Like this individual is holding the head so it won't flop over, you know, that kind of macabre tradition. I mean, I understand why they did it, because photographs weren't an easy thing to do. And it's not like they had a device where you could just easily, you know, click and shoot like we do now, and like we've had for a long time. So, but yeah, but you could take a card like this and some of the other ones and incorporate it as other descriptors or as other archetypes. Because you have the combination in here of descriptor cards and situations. I mean, the sky's the limit. And if you have both decks, I mean, you're all set. But you don't need both decks. I mean, there's not very many copies that were made of this indie deck. I feel very fortunate to have it. But you're not really missing out. In fact, I'm saying I think you're missing out if you only have the indie deck, because the mass market deck comes with this wonderful book, this wonderful guide and blueprint on how to use this deck as a wonderful system. Now, working ancestor work has been very, very difficult for me. And you know, once I make a decision that I'm going to do it, I always hit a roadblock. So I kind of need a system that's kind of laid out for me. I've tried to follow some other people's systems, and I've read some books. They haven't really stuck with me, but I'm liking the vibe of this system and the book. And I always vibe with Carrie Paris's work. So I'm really excited. Now, I did pick up recently the Ancestral Tarot by Nancy Hendrickson from Half Price Books, and I was very, very excited to pick up this book. I would like to pick up her, what is it, the Ancestral Grimoire also, so I'm very interested to tear into this book. But this is using tarot cards, and I think just using tarot cards, I think, can be limiting, at least for me. I'm speaking for myself. Those of you who are more advanced and have a lot more knowledge and experience, it's probably very easy. But for me, I kind of like the thought of this special oracle system. And once I get going with that, then I can incorporate the tarot deck, the relative tarot. I have been using in the past the relative tarot for kind of shadow work, ancestral shadow work. and it's been very good for that. But I want to really, really dive deeper and go deeper into the weeds with some of the trauma. And I definitely need help with that. It's not fun work, but I think this deck will help. But also I think this deck also has some levity and some lightness to it, that it doesn't have to be, ancestral work doesn't have to be all dark and shadowy. There can also be quite a bit of fun. I think there can be fun in discovering some ancestors who maybe were outgoing personalities, who did a lot of good in the world. You never know. You never know what you might find. So, oh, I also picked up very, very recently also by Nancy Hendrickson and Stacy Williams-Ing, the Ancestral Magick Divination Kit. I got this as a Kickstarter, and truth be told, I have not been able to work with it yet. I've read the book and I've looked at the cards, and I haven't had time, and the reason being is because, well, it's the reason why I haven't been on YouTube. It's because I have been working. I've had a job, but I'm going to address that in another video. So time has been short, and I haven't had as much time. If you would like me to do a comparison between these two ancestral decks, let me know in the comments below. And I'm saying again, I haven't worked with this deck in depth. I've read the book. I haven't put it into practice. I'm feeling a pull more to this beloved dead system. But again, I haven't worked with it yet. So it's going to be something very, very wonderful to explore. And let me know in the comments below if you'd like me to do a walkthrough between the two systems and this system as well, and the differences, and maybe if you only want one of them, maybe can help you decide which one you want, but that would have to be a separate video. Well, I hope you found this unboxing and walkthrough and side-by-side comparison with the two beloved dead oracle decks, well, one being the indie version and this new mass market by Carrie and Tina Hardt. I hope you found it helpful, and that you enjoyed the musical flip-throughs. Just to wrap up, I will say, yes, if you have the indie version, I'd say it is worth it to get the mass market because it's got a lot of extra to it. I'm glad that I have both, and don't feel like you've missed out on anything with if you don't have the indie deck. This is a more complete system. I'm very happy that I have the indie deck, but this in and of itself is enough, especially if you want to start working, doing ancestor work. I just have a feeling, even though this is just a walkthrough preliminary, vibes and feelings, that's what I'm getting from this deck. Also wonderful, again, the deck for this sort of deck and for this sort of photography is quite diverse, as Carrie Paris's Relative Tarot is. So that's quite nice to see that she is kept with that tradition with this deck as well. It's just beautiful, and I love this type of photography. I love this imagery. So I'm a little bit biased there, but the proof is in the pudding, and I will work with this, and I can't wait to read the book and to get started with it. So yeah, let me know if you've purchased the deck already, if it's kind of on your wish list. Are you hoping to get it for Christmas? And yeah, just to let you know, I purchased this with my own money. These are just my own feelings, again, being biased toward Carrie Paris's work. I think this is just a really unique tool for this space. So with that, yes, I'd love to hear all your comments, and if it's not too much to ask, please hit a like, a subscribe if you haven't already. I'm going to try to be back very, very soon. And with that, I will leave you to your beautiful day. Bye for now.